Hello and welcome. This time Daniel Explores went to Zhrebchevo Reservoir. Zhrebchevo Reservoir is an artificial lake. It is the reservoir created by the Zhrebchevo Dam. The dam was completed in 1966 on the river Tundzha. The Tundzha is the third longest river in Bulgaria. It originates in the Kalufar Mountains in central Bulgaria. The Tundzha joins the Maritsa River near Edirne in Turkey. And of course there is a legend about the Tundzha, the Maritsa and the Arda. Maritsa, Arda and their youngest sister Tundzha argue all the time. Finally the parents get very angry and curse them. The three sisters are turned into rivers. But that doesn't stop them from arguing and fighting every day and all day. One day they start arguing about which one is the fastest. The three sisters agree to spend the night in Edirne, and at the first light the following day they would race to the sea, and the first one to reach the Aegean Sea would be declared the fastest. They agreed that the first one to wake up in the morning would wake up the other sisters, so that they could start the race together. But Tundzha stays up all night, and even before sunrise she begins to race towards the sea. The other two sisters eventually wake up and realize that Tundzha has already left. They get very angry with their younger sisters and curse Tundzha so that her path would be filled with obstacles. Tundzha has to forge a path through the mountains and dense forests. She's tired, but the sea is not far. Suddenly she realizes that her two sisters are just behind her. Maritsa and Arda have used the path forged by Tundzha, and they are still strong and fresh. Maritsa and Arda overtake the tired Tundzha, and Maritsa wins the race. And to this day, the two sisters, Arda and Tundzha, flow into their big sister, Maritsa, and become part of the Maritsa River, the winner of the race. The history of Bulgaria and hydroelectric power begins after independence. In the early 1900s, Bulgaria embarks on an ambitious project of electrifying the whole country. Electrification is key to industry, transport and urbanization, and the development of a dynamic modern economy. It also has a symbolic value. Electricity means stepping out from the darkness of superstition and servitude into the dazzling electric lights of independence, sovereignty, of science and technology, and into modernity. The development of the hydropower network in this period is enthusiastic, but not always well planned. The wars slow down progress, but from the late 1940s, the building of dams and hydroelectric power plants resume in earnest. In the 1950s, the Ministry of Electrification and Improvements is given the task to rationalize the electric network and oversee the construction of large hydropower projects. The system is rationalized from education with specialized courses at Sofia Polytechnic and training in the Soviet Union to the establishment of a reliable energy and material supply chain for the builds. A system of training and security checks for all workers on site as well as anyone involved in the planning and execution of this mega project is created. It is the communist era, and dams and hydroelectric plants are of strategic importance, so a careful vetting system goes hand in hand with education and training of the workforce. Some of the projects completed under the new ministry are four of the largest dams in Bulgaria. The Iskar Dam on the river Iskar, It was officially opened in 1954 and it serves Sofia. The Coprinca Dam, completed in 1956 on the river Tundzha, it is near Kazanlak. The Dospat Dam, completed in 1968 in the Rhodope Mountains. The Vacha Dam, completed in 1975 on the Vacha River. And this one, Zhrebchevo Dam. Back then, some of these dams had different names. The Iskra Dam was called the Stalin Dam, and Soviet engineers were heavily involved in the planning and construction. The Coprinca Dam was named after Georgy Dimitrov. Dimitrov was the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Bulgaria. In 1946, Dimitrov triggered a referendum to abolish the monarchy, then declared Bulgaria a People's Republic, and later that year became Prime Minister. The Vacha Dam was called Anton Ivanovci, after the partisans from the Anton Ivanov detachment who died in the area in February-March 1944. There are pieces of bricks and broken masonry everywhere. 3 villages were destroyed in the creation of the reservoir: Dolno, Panicerevo, Zapalnia and Zhrebchevo. This is the church of the village of Zapalnia. The church was built at the end of the 19th century. It was built on a hill, which is located just above the village. The church had been partially submerged for many years, but in recent years the water level in the reservoir has gone down and now you can walk around. At the time of the dam construction, there was an order to destroy the church, but the local priest, Dragan Stoikov, fought off anyone trying to carry out the demolition order. He was the last to leave the village in early 1966. Once the church became accessible again, people started to visit. The church is a symbolic link between generations. The younger generations may have heard about the villages from their grandparents or parents, and visiting the church is a way to remember and reconnect with loved ones that may have left us. The pools mirror the blue sky. Sunshine twinkles off the rivulets on the stream. Dense forests crown the edge of the reservoir. The place invites thoughtfulness and contemplation. What was life like in the underwater villages? The Bulgarian writer, artist, and historian Chudomir describes Dolno Panicerevo as a little corner of paradise on earth. Mimi Tsoneva remembers her father and grandparents talking about Zhrebchevo, once called Atlare, a beautiful village of meandering narrow roads. Nearly every house had fruit trees and rich vegetable gardens. Mimi tells of how her grandfather made stilts for her so she could imagine using them to cross the Tundzha. There was no bridge across the river in the village, and the people used their knowledge of the tunzha to cross safely. Stilts to cross where the river is shallow, and a rope ferry where the river was deep and fast running. I put a link to Mimi's website in the description below, where you can read a lot more about life in the village of Atlare Zhrebchevo. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, that would be wonderful. I publish in English on Tuesdays, Italian on Wednesdays and Bulgarian on Thursdays. Thank you for watching, stay curious, have a lovely day, bye bye!